Hello. All right. Welcome. My name is Luis Daniel Zambrano. Everybody calls me LD. I'm the creative director and one of the co-founders of Teravision Games and TeraCreators. And I have to say I'm a little nervous because this is my very first talk in English. And you will notice very quickly it's not my first language. So I apologize in advance for any mispronunciation or accidental swear word. So that said, let's start. All right. So today I want to share with you the story about how Fortnite helped us save our game development studio in Colombia. Disclaimer, there is going to be a lot of gratitude shown towards Epic just because of how awesome they are, and we admire them very, very much. So yeah, the agenda for today would be first, who are we? Who's Teravision Games? Why were we in trouble in the first place? How did we use UEFN to save us? And what's next for us in the future? So let's start from the top. So, who are we? Teravision Games, it's a leading game developer studio from Latin America. Right now, we are around 80 people in the studio, and our headquarters are located in Bogota, Colombia. But we have people all around the continent. We have game devs in Mexico, in Costa Rica, Argentina, Peru, also in Vancouver, in Montreal, and in North Carolina. But Teravision Games actually started in 2006 in Caracas, Venezuela. And it all began when now my best friend, mentor, CEO, and my brother from another mother, Enrique Fuentes, had the insane idea to start a game development studio in Caracas, Venezuela. There were no game industry there, no reference, and he wanted to start that. And I had the even crazier idea of following him. So later down the road, in 2010, things became a little unsustainable in the country. So we had to move the studio to Colombia and basically start from scratch from there. And that's why the studio today is mainly based in Colombia. But back to 2006, when we started. So as I already said, there were no industry, no reference for us. So we actually didn't know how to make games. So we figure, all right, if we want to get game projects, we need to show execution capabilities, right, and portfolio. So we figured we need to start our very own project. So we made our very first game, which was Lieutenant Fly versus the Spiders from Above. This was a little flash game that was a mix between a match 4 and a stationary shooter that Enrique and I got the idea, and then I went and became the programmer, but also the artist, and also the audio designer. And luckily down the road, other people joined me filling all those roles I didn't know I needed to finish that game. And luckily we took it to completion. And we published it in the Flash gaming sites that were popular at that moment. And it did pretty well. And Disney took notice. And they commissioned us to do a reskin of our game with their Phineas and Ferb property. And we made Robot Attack. And that kickstarted a 10-year journey of doing more than 80 games. Small games for web, downloadable, mobile, with a myriad of brands and IPs. And that's basically how we learn how to make games as a team, by making a ton of them, right? So then we noticed that we were making Dora the Explorer games during the day, but playing Dark Souls at night. So we decided in 2016 to do an introspection with the whole team and asked everybody what they wanted to do. And that pushed us to focus on PC and console games with Unreal Engine. Which at the beginning, it was a little scary because we had little experience, but it ended up being the best decision. And I'll let you later know why. So we were again in the conundrum like, okay, we want to get Unreal Engine projects. How do we do that? Well, remember what we did with Lieutenant Fly? We did the same thing here. Let's start a project, an Unreal project. And the intention was for it to be an investment on learning the tools and creating portfolio to be able to show around. And that game was called Neon Fury, which was a tower defense for VR. And it worked because we haven't even finished that game, but by having something to show, we landed a gig with inXile. So we started working with them under a team augmentation model, which is basically we loaned our developers to work directly with the developers at inXile. And that allowed us to work on Bard's Tale 4, the director's cut, specifically the version in Xbox. We helped them right at the end with some debugging and polishing and tweaking, right? After that, we helped them build a VR game called Frostpoint. And lastly, we worked in the very beginning stages of Clockwork Revolution. We had a bunch of UI designers, artists, and engineers working with them. And this time was amazing for us to learn working so closely with inXile, learn from their processes and their practices, and it was great. Now with these projects in our CV, in our portfolio, and this newfound experience, then we were able to start working with Gun Media. We did a few games with them that were not published for different reasons. But lastly, we worked on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Specifically, we helped them build a very advanced prototype and help them validate the game design for this project. And with all that time working with Gun and in TCM, that's how we got our experience in horror asymmetrical multiplayer. While all of this was happening, we kept working on the side on Neon Fury, on our own project. And in 2021, we managed to publish it, but it evolved to be Captain Toonhead versus the Punk from Outer Space, which is our silly space opera made for VR that is a mix of a tower defense and a first-person shooter. And it was actually the very first VR game made in Colombia, published in the Meta Quest store, and we were super proud of that. And right at the end of that development cycle, we got lucky to get an Epic Mega Grant, which really helped take that product to the finish line. So thank you very much, Epic, for that. Really helped. And this is the trailer which we launched the game with.
Here. I weaponized your grandmother's chancla. That's a freaking shark! How's that even possible?
There is a madman that we need to stop.
Why so defensive? I'm I'm going to stop you all by myself.
Right! Oh, please don't forsake us, Angel.
You can call me Captain Two-Head.
Captain Toonhead! Available now! Yeah! Available now! Are you still here? Go buy the game! This is it! We spent all our marketing budget!
That's actually very true.
Wait, I'm still getting paid for this, right? It's a lot of yelling, you know? It's a lot of screaming.
Don't worry, we paid the guy. That game took us 5 years to build, and we had to be very resourceful to do so. Like the theme song you heard in the trailer, the vocals, the lyrics, that's actually Enrique, our CEO, singing. And he composed that song with my brother, Danny. Where is he? He's around here. There he is. Who is now our audio lead. My wife has 2 voices in the game. Lore, Enrique's daughter, she made the voices of the little yellow energy cubes that say, help, help, that's her. And Paul, our president or CFO, he actually has 2 major roles in the game. He did the voice of the blue energy cube with the mustache that's called Toonhead and Angel. And Janine 5, who is a flying, very sassy, flying, talking burrito. That's Paul. And his wife Chantal has a small role in the game too. So what I'm trying to say with this is I try to interject a message for indies here, which is don't wait for the publisher check to make your perfect game. Start your project and work on it. And if there's will, you will always find a way. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be hard days. It's going to change a lot, but push it to take it to the finish line. It's worth it. Like Captain Toonhead in my almost 20-year career has been by far my most favorite project I've ever worked with. What I'm trying to say is make your games and publish them, all right? Okay, coming back again to Unreal Engine projects. Lastly, the most recent thing we have ever done came out from, remember our experience with Gun and Texas Chainsaw Massacre? While we worked with Gun, we met Randy Greenback. He's the executive director of Friday the 13th and one of my favorite people and most cherished friend of the industry. He came to us with the idea of making a Killer Clowns from Outer Space game. And he always wanted to do that game since he was a kid. So we loved the idea and we fully developed it, like did all the game design, made a kick-ass prototype, helped pitch it to MGM, and we got the project. And this is the trailer which the game was announced with in 2022. This trailer was premiered in Gamescom 2022 in Opening Night Live, our very first Gamescom. It was a super special night. We were there, people were clapping. It was super great. Well, but then, I mean, after you see all this, you probably are wondering, well, what, this guy's in trouble. Well, being honest, it took us a little by surprise to us too. And I'll tell you why. So comes 2024, we finish our mandate with Killer Clowns. We were riding high, we were kings of the world, we were gonna get our next big project, and we came out of our shelter. And what we found was desolation. There were no funds for projects, at least in our experience, or other projects to be taken. So we don't have a project. That's scary. What to do? What should we do? Well, we decided to try to survive as long as we can while protecting what was most important to us, which is our development team. So we decided not to do layoffs, which is easier said than done. What we wanted to do is protect that 18 years of investment on building a talented team in Latin America, all the processes we build around them, the culture, the special culture that we love, that we nurture. We wanted to do that, but how did we do it? Because it's not only saying it. Well, we owners of the company established a policy, which is to always save from 3 to 6 months worth of payroll, of our operation cost in our bank, and we don't touch that because that's for emergencies. And that's how we could do that. That's how we could maintain ourselves without a project. And then we figured, okay, we're not finding the AA games projects that we want to do, so we need to look outside our box. We need to find other places to do games. And enters Fortnite to our lives. And that leads me to tell you how did we use UEFN to save us. So first, let me share what we saw in UEFN first. An investment we could afford. We didn't need the publisher check to do a product here. We thought, okay, we can try to make games here. While we do that, we can develop a skill that later we can put for hire, right? To get projects for maybe other people that want to make games into the ecosystem. So we could do this. And why did we think we could make a game there without a publisher? Well, we noticed that UEFN let you focus on making a great game without worrying too much about all those important but ancillary things that you need to do around making a game. I mean, Epic has been super generous to all of us developers with what they have put available in UEFN, like the sheer amount of 3D assets, like characters and for environments that would have taken us years to build. But also, we coming from Killer Clowns, not having to worry on matchmaking and servers, that's a miracle. That's unheard of, right? And all that infrastructure already available is a huge leg up that let us concentrate in the game, which leads me to my third point, which is the very, very fast iteration process that all of this enables. That's why we thought we could build something here. What used to take us months, weeks to build in its first version, only to find out that it doesn't work and we need to change it, now we do that in days or hours. And for me as a game director, that's a miracle. Like, it keeps you focused. You don't forget what you're pursuing when you do it so fast and you see the game evolving so fast in front of you. I mean, we had our artists and our game designers do even better prototypes before engineering took over, and that makes us like more precise when building stuff. Like, it's hard for me to explain how much time we spent in Killer Clowns figuring out doors in multiplayer. Like, okay, well, the player opens the door, but what happens if there's another player on the other side? Should we close the door after they enter? And what happens if they approach the door from the two sides? And here is click, drag, door. It works in multiplayer. That's magic. Or the enemy spawners and the enemy behaviors in Captain Toonhead. Took us so much time. Here is a device that you set up and you have enemies in your game. So what I'm trying to say is that we saw in UEFN that we could build monetizable products or a skill with the team and the limited time we had. How we did that? Well, let's talk about our creative process in UEFN then. Disclaimer, there are no formulas, there's no guarantees that this is what worked for us, but you need to find your own path, right? So let's start with phase one, February 2024. We wanted to understand the tools first, understand the development cycle. Fail quick, learn fast, repeat. Of course, we had Fortnite players in our team, in our dev team. But me personally, I was not one of them. So me as a creative director, I needed to understand this game. So I took on myself to become a Fortnite player. And I remember how terrible I felt when I was being killed very often in the first time I played. And then the thrill of winning my first Battle Royale. And then the heartbreak when I found out that the first Battle Royale was against bots. But then the thrill again when I won my first Battle Royale. And during that time, it was clear to me why players love this game. And that's information we use in our products, right? Understand being one of them, right? We also put ourselves to the task to study popular genre, popular games in the ecosystem, to understand what was resonating with that audience. Yeah, we have 18 years making games, but we cannot be arrogant to just say, we know what this audience wants. You need to understand the audience. So it's important to pay attention to that. So we did that. And we challenged ourselves to make games and publish them, right? And publish them, release those games. I cannot emphasize how important this is. Like, probably you have heard from other game developers that last 15, 20% of development is like harder and there's more work than the first 80 or 90% of the whole project, because that's actually when you learn the most, is when you face optimization challenges, is when you deal with the fact that, oh, I need a thumbnail, I need a trailer, I need to fill out the ESRB rating forms, now I'm paying attention to metrics, and those learnings are super important. So what I'm trying to say is release those games. Don't stay in the editor. Put things out there. And fail or success, you will always learn. And that translated in that we had a team of about 5 people making small games with the arbitrary objective of releasing a game a week. And we started doing that. And remember our first 10 years making all those 80 games? We basically compressed that in months with the rapid iteration that UEFN allowed us. And fun fact, Havoc Hotel 1 was actually our 9th game that we did. So we started doing that. And at the end of this phase, we thought we understood the tools enough and the dev cycle so we can go a little deeper in it. So enters phase 2, April 2024. Now we wanted to innovate. Now we wanted to do something new. We wanted to build something that we want to play and maybe we didn't find in the ecosystem. So first thing we did is we incremented our investment in the project. From 1 week, now we said, you know what? Let's have 4 weeks to make a game. 4 times what we used to have, which again, I feel crazy for me to say that because we come from 5 years from Captain Toonhead and 3.5 years for Killer Clowns, right? But yeah, talk about rapid iteration again. We wanted, as already said, explore new genre. We wanted to build something we were passionate about, something the team wanted to build and play within Fortnite. And again, just release it to learn. We didn't know if it's gonna work. We don't know, but we know we will learn from it, right? And this is what we came up with after 4 weeks. Havoc Hotel 1. It was published on April the 24th, 2024. Random fact, that's my brother's Danny, 1 day after his birthday. Random fact, it will make sense later what I'm sharing this. And this is the trailer we launched the game with.
Welcome to a world of elegance and sophistication. Immerse yourself in lavish surroundings and intuitive service that exceeds every expectation. Welcome to Haven Hotel.
So yeah, Havoc Hotel 1. So this is how Havoc Hotel did. Let's zoom in to those first weeks. So during the first month, we were hovering around 15 and 25 concurrent players. Then it spiked up, and we thought, what is this? Like, we thought we found something. That was actually that the Discover algorithm picked it up, but we didn't know about the Discover algorithm at that moment. But yeah, I mean, in summary, Havoc Hotel, in 1 month and 8 days, it reached 6,000 concurrent users, which I know there are games with 40,000 and 50,000, now 200,000 CCUs. But I mean, for us, this was like huge. I mean, remember that we come from 8 other games that had 0 CCU, 1, like the tester that was playing on a Friday. But now suddenly we have 6,000 CCUs. Wow! We thought we found something, and that's the outcome of this phase. Like, okay, looks like we found an engaging core and experience. Let's build upon it. Enters phase 3, June 2024. Now that we think this looks promising, let's double down on it. So first, with an identified opportunity, we figured, okay, let's apply everything we have learned in this or 18 years experience in game design and product design and put it on it. We decided to yet again have a bigger investment now in the project. And now we doubled the timeline to 8 weeks for Havoc Hotel 2. And we also increased the dev team from 5 people to 15 people. And we were all in. We thought, okay, this is our chance. We got to make this work. Let's put everything we have in it. And this is the result. This is what we came up with during this phase, which is Havoc Hotel 2. It was released on August the 3rd, 2024. Random fact, that's my mother's birthday. So, and this is a trailer which we launched the game with. Havoc Hotel 2, and this is how it did. So Havoc Hotel 2 also reached 6,000 CCUs, but it did it in only 6 days. And 29 days later, it surpassed the 23,000 CCUs. We couldn't believe it. At this moment in our company, we only had few weeks of payroll in our bank, and we were going into debt to keep bank rolling our operation while all this happening. I still remember the call I got from Enrique. It was when this happened, but that we hit those first 6K CCUs. It was a Friday after work, super tired. My phone bursting. I pick up, and it was Kike. LD, the game blew up, look at the numbers. Wow, I thought that something was wrong with the game when he said blew up, but then I figured, what, it's doing good? I saw the numbers, I just started crying. And my wife was there, she gave me a hug. Then she put Don't Stop Believing by Journey on the TV. And then we started dancing. And my stress ulcer disappeared in that sad moment. And yeah, it was one of my favorite days in my career. It was great. And that's the story about how UEFN saved Teravision Games. And I just wanna thank Epic Games for unknowingly enable our fighting chance with your visionary initiatives to support other game developers. That's how we did it. Thank you. So the outcome of this phase was that we built now a stronger metagame around a core that was working already in Havoc Hotel 1, right? Here we increase our session length of our players to 32 minutes. We had 25 minutes in Havoc Hotel 1, and our average play time we increased it from 35 minutes in Havoc Hotel 1 to 50 minutes in Havoc Hotel 2. I'm going to do a parenthesis here, and it's when I give you this information, I'm trying to say that it's super important to pay attention to the creators portal metrics. That's one of the most critical tools in our process for understanding how we're doing on failure and on success. And the Epic team has put a lot of time into those tools for us, and they are critical for this process. So use the metrics. Pay attention to them. That is how we kept our jobs. All right, so, but this doesn't end here. We had a phase 4, August 2024. We wanted to seize the moment. We wanted to keep going. We want to use what we learned and build around this success. So first, we have a dichotomy if, okay, should we grow Havoc Hotel 2 or should we make Havoc Hotel 3? We decided why not both. So in Havoc Hotel 3, we decided to yet again increase the development timeline from 2 months now to 3 months. But we invested those 3 months in refactoring systems in Havoc Hotel 2 and building new features around them. And we also experimented with launching the game in early access, which is basically, even though the game wasn't technically finished yet, we figured it was good enough to put it in the hands of players, understand how it performs, and use that information to take it to the finish line, right? But for that, we needed to build communication channels with those players. So we additionally invested time on creating live ops processes around our games, and specifically around Havoc Hotel 2, and cater to a community. And we put our Discord server, and we have a community manager, and we start talking to the people. Actually, the first community manager was me, but then we hired somebody else, right? And once we are talking to players, we could understand better what we hear. We could contrast that qualitative feedback with the quantitative feedback that we're getting for the metrics, right? So we did all that, and the outcome, the result of this phase was on August 14, 2024, which yet again is the month of my mom's birthday, we published our first update in Havoc Hotel 2. That's the first time we used that little red bar in the thumbnail to communicate to players that the game changed. And in November 29th, 2024, the month of my birthday, we launched Havoc Hotel 3 in early access, and this was the trailer we launched it with. And that's Havoc Hotel 3. This is how Havoc Hotel 3 did. So, Havoc Hotel 3 also reached 6,000 CCUs. but it did in only 1 day. The first one 1 month, the second one a week, this one 1 day. And then 6 days later, it surpassed the 11K CCUs. So the outcome of this phase is that we managed to replicate in some way the success and build processes around our development cycle about this type of game, which is the most important outcome of this. So our play session for players was around 38 minutes now. We increased it from 32 to 38, comparing to Havoc Hotel 2. And our average play time was around now 1 hour and 15 minutes from the 50 minutes that we had in Havoc Hotel 2. So as you can see, we're always building to create more engagement and retention. So, as a summary, in our first 9 months in UEFN, we end up creating 3 games that we are super proud of. In the first one, we found an engaging core that we could build upon. In the second one, we built retention and engagement mechanics around that core. We built a metagame around it. And in the third one, we wanted to test if we could replicate that again, but most importantly, organize ourselves as developers and build processes around all this. And another outcome of this is that now we established the policy that we only publish our games in the proximity of my family's birthdays. So what's next for us in Teravision? So, we're gonna keep doing what we always do. We wanna keep making games that we would love to play. We're gonna keep working on our Unreal Engine games. We're currently working on a VR game that we're gonna announce later down the year. We're gonna keep pursuing our console and PC indie games. That's still happening. On the other hand, we're also making UEFN, making strategic alliances and bringing exciting partners that wanna build games into the ecosystem, and we wanna help them achieve that. The latest one we did was with Skybound, that Walking Dead game. And we're gonna keep working on roguelikes. We wanna keep pushing the boundaries of this genre in Fortnite that we love so much. But we're also gonna try other genres that maybe are not natural to us. We wanna keep trying things. We wanna keep experimenting. We wanna keep innovating. We just wanna keep alive the spirit of how we started all this, right? Like trying things out, seeing if they work, and learning from that. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about my suggested takeaways from this talk. Or you can just ignore everything I said, because yet again, there are no guarantees and no formulas. But I will start by reiterating on learning first, innovate later, but always publish. Focus first on understanding the tools, understanding your audience, the context in which you're going to launch this. Make informed experiments. Use that information. But always publish those games. That's where you learn the most. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Actually, if you fail with a game, you learn more than when you succeed. So, again, publish your games. Second, start small, but choose wisely when to grow. Low risk it first with small experiments, yet again, using the information that you have learned. Allow yourself to discover by doing and seeing the reaction of other players playing your games. Remember, a game is not a game until it's played by somebody else. And only when you have identified a specific opportunity, that's when you double down. That's when you go deeper. Third, iterate using your experience. Like, use your learnings. What you did from the previous project, use it, see how it worked, use it in the next one. Do that, right? And if you have something good, iterate on it in the next product of the same type. It's not a coincidence that a lot of very successful studios in the industry, they focus on a single game genre. That's because that allows them to build an expertise, a deep knowledge about a specific type of game that then they use, but also to build tools around those games to help them make them faster, right? And also have a code base that they use to, again, build the next iteration of the game. So iteration is important within a game, right? Making features, but also as a studio, product by product, right? That makes you a sharper team, right? So use that. And lastly, even if it sounds a little corny, work on things that you would love to play. Try to always innovate. If some of you were in the Discover talk earlier today, probably you heard about how important innovation is, and now how those are important parameters for your game to bubble up. The more innovative stuff is going to be put in front of more players. So, but also, there's also a side benefit of making something that you will love to play, and it's not there. Because if you build the game you want to play, you naturally going to gravitate to playing your game. And me as a game designer, that's a super important tool because that allows me, I play Havoc Hotel on my weekends. And that puts me there with my players, right? And understanding them, the struggles they're going with, when the game is getting too difficult, right? And how you as a game designer, how are you going to assume how your player is going to feel 50 hours, 100 hours in if you're not there with them? So play your games. And also, I mean, it's cool to build something that you like to play, right? Build your own games, right? So yeah, work on something that you love. And that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Those are our socials, and if you want to work with us, there's the site, there's a small tab there that says career, so yeah. All right, well, thank you everybody.